What's up, everybody? It's Percy, Coach PA. Some of y'all know me. Um, I decided to start a podcast. Normally, I'll have somebody in that chair right there. We posted up with me. We'll be talking about whatever. I kind of wanted to drop, my first kind of official podcast by myself. Uh, just give y'all kind of a heads up of what it's about, what I'm trying to do with it, what I plan to do with it, where I want it to go, what I want it to be. If you can't tell, I got my handy dandy computer right here because I got to record on my phone, so can't check that, of course. Uh, I really wanted to get into like why I'm starting a podcast. So I have been a part of two pods. The Chalk Talk podcast, which I had Deontay Howard. I think Ty Strickland was on there. I don't know if Trevor was on there. He might have been on there. He might have popped in on there. And Charlie O. We had that on Apple, and I think Spotify, a couple other apps or whatever. And then, it kind of fell apart. I mean, people move away. I was living in Jonesboro at the time. I moved to Conway. We were all over the place. So then we kind of transitioned last year into, I want to say it was last year, 2023, maybe? 23 or 24, we transitioned into the A70 Dog Talk podcast. And essentially what that was us as a group, me, Trevor, and Deontay. We're just gonna try to talk whatever, talk ball, talk life. There's a couple episodes out on our YouTube, the A70 Dog Talk Show. Go check that out. I think that's still in the works. We're still trying to figure out what we want to do with that. But it's definitely something that we're looking at bringing back for y'all because that was a good time. But it kind of, D, man, like family to me. He's got my niece and nephew, so his life is busy as all get out. So, that takes a toll on things. It's hard to record, hard to meet up. With me living 2 hours away, those guys living in Pine Bluff and Little Rock area. So we just kind of ended up kind of splitting or whatever. Not splitting so much as the podcast. We just weren't able to be consistent. Shout out to my brother-in-law, Cam. He dropped the track or intro track on that podcast. If you've never heard it, go check out the pod and listen to that soundtrack. He went crazy. We're working on getting him to get the soundtrack for this one, for my intro. I want to let everybody know it's the first EP. So, we're filling it out. Right now it's my man cave, but it's my extra bedroom in my place, and we're kind of I'm recording, just kind of filling stuff out, and I just wanted to get this out to the people because I kind of wanted to see, if we can gauge a little bit of interest. If I can get 5 people who want to hear me talk to different guests every week, that's something that I really want to do. Which brings me to the point of kind of why I'm doing this, why I'm starting a podcast. I'm really starting this pod because, I want to be able to do it on my time, but also I wanted something outside of coaching. I wanted to be able to, I can sit here, I sit on a video game all the time, but I could be sitting here and record a video, and I love listening to podcasts and I like to talk. Some people know me as a guy who likes to talk, a social butterfly. Some people know me as a quiet guy. Just kind of depends on the setting I'm in. But I do enjoy talking. There's a lot of great people who want to hop on the pod. I'll have some great guests in that chair. I'll have some great guests in this chair and probably in another chair. And I'm hoping we get to a point where I got to move it to the living room or we move to another spot. That's kind of the goal. But I really just wanted this to be something where if I got 1 or 2 people who are really locked in, if they enjoy the show, I could provide something for them that I enjoy doing. I love coaching with all my heart, but I needed a change up. I wanted something else to do. It's not about making a lot of money. It's not about being famous. It's not about being the next big thing per se, but it really is about me getting to talk to people, open up, give you different perspectives. I'm going to have everything from school secretaries to football coaches to football players to ex-professional athletes to, my mom could be sitting in this spot, and everybody who knows me knows I love my mom. My sisters will come on. My sisters are doing great things. My family's doing great things. So you never know who's going to pop in, and sometimes it's just going to be me, but that's the beauty of it. I think that's what's going to make the show. So with that being said, the next thing I kind of wanted to go over, what we got on here, who I am. So, of course, like I said at the top of the show, I'm Percy on. I grew up in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. My family, my mom's from Chicago, Illinois. My dad's from, I think he's from Dumas, somewhere in that area. I was born in Arkansas. I'm an Arkansas guy. I lived in Chicago for about 4 years when I was a pup. I think from like kindergarten to like started second grade. Then I moved to Pine Bluff. Went to Whitehall School District. Went to Taylor Elementary. Went to Whitehall Junior High, Whitehall High School. Um, I was a sports guy the whole time. There was not a time where I was in school where I wasn't a sport guy. I played football, basketball, and baseball. Throw a little track in there when I was a little older. Um, and it was always something that really made me enjoy school. Not gonna lie to you. For me to be a teacher now, I think back like I didn't really like going to school. I guess it's a little different when I'm telling kids what to do versus being the kid told what to do. Um, I've lived in Arkansas majority of my life. I spent some time in Dallas. I spent about a year in Dallas working for a company um, that we won't speak about because we just won't speak about it. But I've lived in, let's see, Pine Bluff, Whitehall. Then I went to college at Arkansas Tech, played football and baseball there. Uh, Went to Central Baptist, so that's Russellville to Conway. Played baseball at CBC. Then I moved to Dallas after that. Played a little bit of independent ball in Laurel, Mississippi. If you've never been there, don't go because you good. Trust me. Um, with a lot of my friends from college, and met some really good dudes. Played with a couple of ex pros, stuff like that. From there, I went to Jonesboro, where I started my master's program a long time ago, right before COVID. So when COVID hit, I kind of got out of the swing of going to school and all that good stuff. But so I was in Jonesboro for a little bit. Then I moved back to Conway, and when I was in Conway, that's when COVID hit, and I didn't have a job specifically. I started training athletes. So I worked with baseball players. I did speed and agility. I did that for about 9, 10 months, and it was probably the best job I ever had because I was working on my time, doing what I wanted to do. I didn't have a schedule. I would work every day from like 4 to 8. It's probably why I got in the best shape of my life because I could work out all day and then go work with kids. Which somebody asked me, what kind of got me into coaching, which I'll go more into detail with later. But that year when I was just training kids, I started to realize like I like working with kids and teaching them ball or teaching them skills to make them better at ball, boys and girls. And that's kind of where that kind of took off. So from Conway, my buddy Justin Kennard, shout out to Doughboy, he got me a job at Fort Smith Northside working at Kimmons Middle School. That's where I started my coaching career. So I was in Fort Smith for 2 years. I worked on the Kimmons staff, then I worked on the Northside High School staff, and then I went to Bryan High, lived in Bryan for a year. That was last year. Great time, great staff, great guys. Congratulations then for winning the 2024 state championship. A lot of my guys over there, I coached pretty much all those guys to an extent. And then I got the call to come to Greenwood, Arkansas, which is where we are right now. This is where we reside. So we kind of bounced all over the place. I think I found a home in Greenwood to an extent. I felt a lot of love here, and I'm kind of feeling real good about how things are going. The words are hard. Trajectory of what we got going here, and I really enjoy my time here. But enough about me. But there's never enough about me. The goal, I already kind of told you the goal of the podcast, but I want people to want to come on my show. Like, I want people to come talk to me. I want people to want to, like, tune in. And even if it's remote, I've figured out ways to make it like a video chat where you can, I can reach out to you and we can record. So I want people to want to get on here and I want people to want to listen. So I'm always going to take topics or take, what do you want to hear us talk about this week? Or what do you want to hear me talk about? Whatever the case is, because I want to be able to give my opinion and hear somebody else's opinion, and then you give your opinion in the comments. We're gonna have an Instagram page. I'll post stuff to Facebook, and we're gonna have a YouTube page. So you'll always be able to agree, disagree, whatever. And I'm one who I don't really care one way or the other. You can say what you want to say. I believe what I believe. You believe what you believe. Let's argue. There will be some arguments here. I know when Trevor sits right there, We're gonna argue a little bit, and I love it because it's a friendly banter, but we have a good time. Uh, Weekly guests. So I've already talked to a couple people, and I had a lot of you people reach out, which was great. I really appreciate it. I got a lot of people around the city of Greenwood who want to come on the show. Of course, people from Fort Smith, other coaches, players will come on, different things of that nature. So we'll have all of that go on, and we'll kind of work through that. So all that being said, I sent out a big message to. Hold on one second. I gotta get the questions up. Boom. I sent out a big message. Posted it on my Instagram. I posted it. I sent it out on Snapchat to everybody. Basically, I was like, tonight, since I'm just kind of breaking the ice, giving y'all a look, kind of like what the studio looks like. I wanted to answer some questions. What are questions you might want to ask me about my podcast, or just about me in general, or in general questions and kind of my opinion and stuff. And that's kind of what this pod will be. We may get a topic one week, like if I have my sister on who does lashes, they may say, well, what's life of a lash tech like? Or, is that a lucrative business? Do you love it? What are the ins and outs? What's a day like for a lash tech? It's not always about me as a coach or as a person. It's gonna be about that other person. I got the school secretaries coming in here, and I can't wait to ask them questions because I know they get a million questions a day. So just different stuff like that. So I got this list of questions, so I'm gonna kind of hop into it. So the first question was, what got me into coaching, and what was my favorite sport growing up? So back to the story about when I was training those kids, man. I was working. I coached a U Trip baseball, summer ball, and I still do. But they were the Conway Diamond Cats, and I made. There were kids on that team who were 12 years old then, who were juniors in high school now, who I still talk to this day. Who I coach their little brothers now. Like, I fell in love with coaching. I've always loved ball. I never knew what I would do post. As a young guy, if you asked me in high school or college what I was going to be, or if I was going to coach, I told you no, I'm a player. I don't coach. Um, but as I kind of shifted and I got into that mode where I started to realize now I'm getting to be around ball and I'm helping kids get like reach heights that I never reached. I consider myself to have been pretty good, like an all around decent athlete. I was successful in football, of course, successful in baseball, of course. I was pretty good in basketball. I could run a little bit, so I'm able to help kids based off what I experienced and how I trained and things I learned from high school and college really be better athletes than I could have been. And I think that's something that I really liked. And it really got me into the coaching side of it because then it was like, now I can really help these kids fine tune being really good at baseball or being really good at football uh, through stuff I've learned. And it's really helped me to really build a really great career path. And I think I I'm always trying to prove myself as a coach. So there's always something that I'm trying to learn, or something that I'm trying to do, or something I'm trying to get better at. But that is in turn because now I'm making my athletes better. The better I get, the better they'll get. The better I can teach something, the easier it is for them. And that's my goal, is to make being really good at football and all the technical stuff easy for them. So the more I work to learn it, the easier it is for me to teach it to them. My favorite sport growing up had to be baseball. It always was. I don't know. I was really good at it when I was younger, and I kind of kept that. I maintained that. Baseball was just the one where I didn't care rain, sleet, or snow. I wanted to go to practice. I would beg my mom like to take me to practice even when practice was canceled. Well, can we go do something with baseball? I didn't really break out as a football player until I was in like ninth grade. Um, Caught a few touchdowns or whatever, and then I got to the high school. I was actually a quarterback, 7th, 8th, and ninth grade, and I was the backup quarterback my sophomore year. And we were at a 7-on-7, and I ended up playing receiver at that 7-on-7. I had a really good day, so I started a receiver my sophomore year. And that kind of was the end of me being a quarterback. I played receiver the rest of my high school career. I got to play DB. I played some safety, a little corner, and that's just kind of where that came from. Basketball, I'm not gonna lie, I'll be honest. I never wanted to go through all season. Never wanted to do it. Didn't plan on doing it. Never had no want to lift weights or do all the hard stuff as an athlete. I was not near what I want my athletes to be. I'll admit it. Don't show my kids this, please. But I just played basketball, so I didn't have to go to off season. I was like, if I play basketball between football and baseball season, I'll never have an off season. Never. I'll never have to do an off season. Turned out I was pretty good. I was a three-year starter in high school. It was all a blessing. I thank God for every bit of ability, talent, and work ethic He instilled in me, because I can say I was good. I can say that confidently. I can say I maintained some of those skills where I don't look like I'm out of place on a basketball court or a football field or a baseball field. So to be able to be a starter for 3 years in high school as a basketball player and a football player and 2 years as a baseball player, that's not a light accomplishment, especially at my high school where there wasn't a bunch of 10th graders playing. That just wasn't the norm. Nowadays you're trying to run ninth graders. Like, I'm trying to play the best kid. I want to play the ninth grader, the 10th grader, the 11th grader. Shoot, if you're in eighth grade and you can go, coach, can we call them up? But back then for me, getting on the field as a 10th grader, on the court as a 10th grader, was huge. And I would always set goals and try to reach them. Well, I wanted to play. I've never been a guy who wants to sit on the bench. I wanted to play. So getting on the field was my first step in football, and I did that. Then in basketball, I didn't start early in my career. Like my first 10, 15 games, I got a little playing time against West Helena, at West Helena, and I think I had like 17 points and 2 blocks. That was all she wrote. We were off to the races, baby. I was the starter the rest of my career through high school, and then baseball-wise, Whitehall was mini dynasty at that time. Like, we were running through some serious talent. So as a sophomore, I played 9th, 10th grade team. Got to travel with the varsity team. There was 5 or 6 of us who got to travel varsity my sophomore year to the state tournament. Junior year, had a little bit of an issue and ended up, going through some things. Senior year, started the whole season, played well. Even had earned a couple scholarships to some junior colleges. Side note, if I wish I could have went to JUCO, but I didn't know better. Going to JUCO, for all the athletes that listen to this, is not a bad thing, but it will make a man out of you, from what I hear. But baseball definitely was numero uno. Football was probably second. And the more I got into basketball, the more I was like, I like this. But basketball is a real technical sport. And if you're not very technical, if you're not real good with your hands, your hand-eye coordination, your footwork's not great, it's a struggle. So I always encourage guys to go play basketball. We got 2 football players who are playing basketball right now in Greenwood, Kane Archer and Grant Carnes, and there's a couple more. I think Cooper's out there, and I can't remember who the other one is. But we got some football players playing basketball, and those guys are really sharpening skills that they didn't even know they really need on the football field. I think not doing all season, but playing 3 sports made me better as an athlete. Next question we got: how has my faith played a factor in my life decision? For those of you who don't know, I am a Christian. I'm a non-denominational Christian. I believe in God. I believe in, the Bible. I believe in, Jesus dying on the cross for my sins. So I'm really big in my faith. With that being said, I struggle with making my faith and my decisions going hand in hand. I think my faith allows me to know the decisions I need to make. I think my flesh pushes me to make the decision that I probably shouldn't make sometimes. But I think a lot of the positive things that have happened in my life were faith-based decisions. And I really believe, the Lord puts me and has put me in situations to make faith-based decisions. And whether I make that decision, of course, is on me and my flesh. But as far as that question, it's a big factor. I think in my brain, I always internally, I kind of think, what would Jesus do? Or is this going to honor God on a lot of decisions? Now, sometimes I make spur of the moment decisions and I don't even think about it. But when I really have to make decisions, I like to sit and think, can I glorify God with this decision? Am I going to be able to, profess my faith with this decision? Is this going to honor God? And for the most part, I think that's helped me to be in a really good place in my life, mentally, physically, and spiritually, for sure. And I'm nowhere near where I want or need to be with the Lord, but it's an everyday battle, and I'm going to consistently fight that battle. This was from my sister. Shout out to Peyton. She's the last tech. She lives in Pennsylvania. No, she lives in Wisconsin. She's got my beautiful niece and nephew, my brother-in-law. She asked me, how do I stretch money on trips? Be honest, sweetheart. Listen to me. Hear me close. Pay attention. I don't know. You know, man, I booked the trip. I know two things when I'm going on a trip. As long as the flight's paid for, so I can get there and back, and the place I'm sleeping is paid for, I'm gonna figure everything else out when I get there. Um, is that a great idea? Probably not. Am I gonna keep doing it? Probably. You know. And she asked that because I've gone on trips where I just hop in the car and go, or I'll hop on a plane and go. Like as long as I got a flight there and back, and I got the ability to sleep somewhere, whether that's an Airbnb, a hotel, with somebody like a friend or something, I'm good. I'll make everything else shake. But I don't necessarily skimp on my vacations. You know, I think I've been blessed to be able to have friends who we work hand in hand. Like we may all take $300 on a trip, but it's not I got $300, he's got $300, he's got $300, he's got $300. It's we got $200 as a group. What can we do as a group? You know, maybe we pay for a party bus that's like $200 total. We all just throw in 50. Or you know, we split a lot of things. We'll split food and things of that caliber. So I think traveling with the right people makes it easier on you financially. Uh, how do I deal with travel ball parents? It just depends. There's a million great parents out there for travel ball who understand what the coach is trying to do. And there's a lot of coaches who are doing the right thing, trying to help kids progress. You know, I think coaching travel ball, for some people, it's a money grab. For some people, it's just for competition. Some coaches want to be the best travel ball coach ever. I think my goal with coaching travel ball is to be, I want my kids to know I care about them, I love them, and I want them to get better. I want my kids to go play high school ball. Like I want my kids to be able to be successful post travel ball. I don't want them to flame out because I'm yelling at them, screaming at them, going hard on them every day in the summer. These kids are 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. Now they don't want to play baseball anymore. That's not the goal. The goal is for these kids to enjoy their summer with their friends, playing baseball and getting better at a high level. And I think when parents buy into that, you know that I'm trying to prepare your son for something that's more than what he is right now, you know, because I coach high school ball, then it's good. But some parents, you know, every parent, rightfully so, thinks their son or daughter is the best thing since sliced white bread to ever be put on a field, a court, or whatever. My job is to make sure I put the best nine out there. And if your son doesn't happen to be in the best nine, you know, I'll always tell them, I can tell you what you need to do to help us. It's up to you to do it, you know. And I tell parents that, like, if your son is not helping us right now, so he's not in the lineup or he's not pitching or whatever, I think that's where you get pushback is because every parent thinks their son is the best or should be doing this or should be doing that when they don't necessarily possess the qualities that you need all the time. I think everybody's capable, but I learned this from our coach at Greenwood. You don't play potential. We play the guy who's doing the job. We play the guy who's meeting the expectation. We play the guy who makes the plays. I don't care if you're 6'2", 220, run a 4.4. If you can't run the right route, if you can't block, if you can't catch, it doesn't work. So I kind of use that philosophy now more than anything. Is you know I'm not using potential. I'll work with potential to get it where it needs to be, but I need results. I'm a very result oriented guy, and I push my guys to be result oriented. So really dealing with parents is setting the expectation, letting them know what you're about and what you want to do, and then of course you're gonna have your little spats, but you gotta handle it as best you can. My biggest fear in life, of course, the biggest fear for most people is not pleasing God, not being able to, really show I'm a vessel of the Lord. That's my biggest fear is to for people to look at me and be like, there's no way that guy's a Christian. And people have their opinions or whatever, but I want even outside of people on earth, I want the Lord to look at me and say, I know He's on this earth doing what I want for Him, or He's honoring me. I think that's huge for me because I fear the day when I'm no longer, physical, that He's going to say, depart from me, I never knew you. That's a huge fear. So I try to live a life, and you can't do good things or good works and make that, be, oh, we're good now. It's got to be something deep rooted in you. It's got to be something that you truly believe, and that's kind of my biggest fear is to be making faking it on the outside and not really about it on the inside. So I really just focus on my faith and staying true to me and staying true to the Lord. My biggest fear outside of that would be not being able to say I made my mom proud and my dad, or really my family for that matter. I have a fear of failure to an extent because I've always worked hard enough to thrive. I wasn't always the best athlete, but I worked to be the best athlete, which put me in a position to be a really good athlete, to be considered a really good athlete. But I really, people don't understand the work ethic that I had as far as when I put work in. Um, but I keep that same mentality as a coach, as a teacher, as a summer ball coach, as a mentor. I want people to be able to say they're proud of me because I'm putting in the time, and they can tell I'm putting in the time and I'm putting in the effort that it takes to, really let these people know I'm doing something that they can be proud of. The greatest compliment I can get is I'm proud of you, or you're making me proud, or you're doing things that I really think are special. Being told I'm a great coach is phenomenal. I love hearing it. Being told I'm a great leader of men, being told kids enjoy being around me because they think I'm making them better. That's where I'm all in. There's gonna be bad decisions I make as a coach in baseball, football, whatever. But as long as your son or daughter knows I've got their best interest at heart and I want them to be a great person and athlete, I think, that's going to make you proud of them, me proud of them proud to work with me. And I think that's the biggest thing. So, just working my butt off to not fail. Because I think the fear of failure and not making people proud, and you can't please everybody, but I like to think, you can really affect a lot of people. My biggest accomplishment so far, and what am I striving for? Biggest accomplishment so far would have to be probably winning the state championship this year. I know it's cliche, but that's something that since I started coaching, I wanted that. And every coach wants that. Every coach wants that feeling of winning the state championship. And I got blessed to be able to go to Bryant and then Greenwood. And I just so happened to win the chip at Greenwood. But that's a huge accomplishment. And you don't know how much it takes to win a state championship, no matter how good your team is, until you've been in it. Because last year at Bryant, I was with a ridiculously talented team, and we came up a little short, but they got it done this year. I think, the grind and effort that we put into our craft as coaches, that's what makes it worth it. And that's why it's such a big accomplishment because it's an all in buyout type deal, especially with some of the stuff we went through this year. For us to keep our head down, keep working, and really, go get what we wanted and take what we deserved. That was a huge accomplishment. I think my biggest thing that I'm striving for right now, outside of being as close to God as possible, I'm striving for greatness, and I don't just mean that in the term of sports. Like I want my name to be associated with greatness. I want you to think highly of Percy Arnold. And some people won't. It is what it is. Whatever. But I want people to think when they hear Percy Arnold, like that was a great ball coach. That was a great man. That was a great man of God. He really helped my son. He really helped my daughter. Or he really helped me. I want to be able to be a person who people can open up to that can help people. But I think that's what I strive for most is to be a person who's thought of in high regards. And I'm not there yet. There's a lot more people who probably say something bad about me than something good. But I think I'm working towards it as I get more mature and older. My biggest regret, this one is pretty easy. I regret the way I've handled relationships, and I'm not going to deep dive into that. But there have been I don't think I've encountered a woman that I just don't think highly of, and I think I like to think highly of everybody.